Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 138 of the It's a Pictures podcast. My name is John Gilpatrick, and joining me, as always, is...
Max, I'm here so I won't get fined. Colville.
What was that a reference? Oh, that was Marshawn Lynch, right?
Yes.
What brought that to your mind?
Oh, I don't know, John. It's been a busy, hectic kind of few weeks, and I was thinking of your contributions to this episode as well, because
that would have taken you about all of 2 seconds.
no, because we're gonna do the audio version of the TIFF curtain raiser, and so the plan is, if you want to read some more about the films, they're already available in the newsletter.
Right.
But we're gonna be here talking about some of them, and John's gonna add some of his unique flavor in on some of the picks as well.
I thought when you said we're doing the audio version, I thought that you were going to announce our pivot to video.
I mean, we could one day. I mean, today's not that day, but
maybe. We'll see. Yeah, I think I have a face for podcasting, as they would say. But no, we're going to, as you said, do our TIFF preview. You'll be at the festival for the third time?
I think it's the fourth time.
Fourth? Okay. Yeah, first time in several years, though.
Yes.
So you're excited about that, I'm sure.
But yeah.
Well, you're excited about the idea of hopefully going.
Yes.
Yeah. And some of the movies you're excited to see. So we'll talk through the movies that, I either don't know about or am excited to see also, for the most part, I think. So yeah, it's good. It's fall. It's not fall yet. It's still August, but we're getting close. And that means good movies and football, and I don't really need much else. So we'll get through some of the exciting TIFF titles, and as always, we'll do a what we've been watching. But before that, a little bit of news. Let's do movie tickets are $3 on September 3rd. So this is going to be like National Go to the Movies Day?
Yeah, I think so. And
because I found out about this 2 hours ago when I talked to my parents, because they are very excited.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's what I figured. I had my stepfather, he texted me, and he's like, "Oh, did you hear about this?" And I'm like, "I did." And I'm like, I guess that's cool to get people to go to the movie theaters and all that. But I'm like, unfortunately, they haven't released anything worth seeing since the end of July.
Yeah, it's been rough.
I mean, those $3 movies are gonna be stuff that's been out for weeks if you're really excited to see it, or I don't know, the very poorly received 3,000 Years of Longing that bombed in the box office this weekend.
Very poorly received. Oh, by the public, you mean?
Yeah, so by the public. I mean, it had a 68 on Rotten Tomatoes or something, or in the 60s. But yeah, the public.
I think it was positive to mixed, I guess you could say. But the public, oh my God, the public didn't go see a George Miller movie. I'm shocked. Oh my God. Obviously, Fury Road aside, that is not especially surprising. Oh, sure. Yeah, Happy Feet. Yeah, that's true. Good point. But yeah, I guess the new release that week is going to be Honk for Jesus Save Your Soul, which is sort of like a comedy about poking fun at hypocritical evangelicals, which sounds kind of good to me.
I saw it out of Sundance, and I thought it was all right.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard about that too.
I like Sterling K. Brown a whole lot, so that
I love me some Regina Hall as well. So I'm still kind of interested, maybe, but Labor Day weekend, you don't have especially high hopes for anything coming out that weekend. And then I'm seeing here that they're going to re-release in theaters Jaws and Spider-Man No Way Home. So maybe people choose to go see one of those. I think it'd be fun to go see Jaws on Labor Day weekend for $3.
Yeah, I always enjoy seeing Jaws.
Yeah, so that's cool. I think it's good. Yeah, like I said, my parents were very excited. They go to the movies a fair amount, but they, even more than going to the movies, they participate in deals. So this was like, well, yeah, and they were like, I think debating like, should we go to like the fancy theater because it's $3? And I'm like, well, I guess you might as well, even though it's a longer drive. So cool, yeah. That's exciting. Hopefully, it kind of works out. It's a good weekend to do something like that. The other news is a lot more juicy and questionable.
Yeah, John. And before we go, but I think it was announced that what, like Regal announced like bankruptcy, so it's like they need
I don't know if they officially did, but I think they were saying that's
that's the
imminent or
yeah.
possibly coming, feeling it out publicly, sort of thing.
So maybe they need these $3 days.
Well, they probably need like $30 days, but I know that there's no you can't just magically make the people show up when you're gonna do that. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think this is gonna help Regal. I don't think declaring bankruptcy means that they're like going away, but I don't really understand how any of that shit works.
Right. No, just conversation fodder.
Yeah. So we'll see. Go to a Regal, I guess, so that doesn't go away forever, and we're stuck all attending AMC's for the rest of our lives. Don't Worry, Darling is a movie that's coming out this fall and has had, I think, some buzz. I don't really know why, because like I don't get why movies get buzzed about before anybody sees them. Like I don't understand like how
I,
that
I
happens.
I mean, it's like star power, right? I mean, like,
Well, yeah, but like people are like, "Oh, this is going to be like one of the big like hot movies." And I'm just like okay, because like Harry Styles is in it
yeah,
and
yeah,
Olivia
that's enough
Wilde
for some
directed.
people. Yeah,
I guess so. It's just
and,
funny to me. I mean, all
and
that said,
Florence
like
Pugh is in.
yeah. I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, that like looks kind of cool. Like I'm interested in that. And now we're sort of finding out. I actually know about this. Can you believe it? It broke through.
Wow.
We know that like Florence Pugh has announced that she is. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but she is
Okay.
like severely limiting the amount of press she's going to do for this movie. And the commonly accepted reason, I guess, is that she sort of shadow directed quite a bit of it because there are sort of allegations slash rumors that Olivia Wilde was much more interested in spending time with Harry Styles than she was in actually directing the movie.
Well, I didn't hear that bit.
Oh, okay.
This rabbit hole goes even further than that. So I guess like the whole drama with Olivia Wilde and her ex-husband Jason Sudeikis, and I guess like she was doing a presentation for Don't Worry, Darling during like CinemaCon, and like she was like given papers regarding the visitation of their daughters, and like being
Yeesh.
served in the middle of her CinemaCon presentation, and it's just like the
Wait,
drama
like
from that.
somebody went up on the stage and did that?
Yes, served her
Holy
papers.
shit.
Yeah, they were like, how did that person even get in
That
through
is fucked
security?
up. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, you should look into it. It's crazy.
Okay.
But then, like, I guess even the last few days, it like came out. People knew that Shia LaBeouf was originally attached to the film. He was going to play
Right. I
Harry
forgot
Styles'
about that
part.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess she said in a big cover story to Variety that like she had like fired him, and she didn't like the method he was using to get into character, and some of the other actors were uncomfortable with it. And of course, it was before the allegations with him assaulting his girlfriend at the time, FK Twigs, and now he sent a rebuttal back to Variety, and he's like, "Oh, I wasn't fired, I quit." And he's like, "I have the receipts for it," and like apparently like a video that he had gotten from like Olivia Wilde that she sent to him. It was making the rounds, and like she was like Olivia Wilde was talking poorly of Florence Pugh in the video, and yeah, it's just drama, and I don't think like the film is ever gonna live up to like everything that has gone on around it, and like it's getting like a starry, like lavish premiere at Venice in like a week or two.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be really awkward.
yeah, really awkward.
But yeah, I when I was reading all of this, I kept thinking that like a movie about the making of and the aftermath of Don't
Yes,
Worry Darling would be more interesting than the movie's gonna end up being.
right, because it looks like what, like Stepford Wives almost, and
Yeah,
like
very much so. Yeah,
yeah,
but sort of like more modern. And Chris Pine is in it, and I guess he maybe emerged somewhat unscathed from all this. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, it sounds really wild. And I guess like
not
I
Olivia
am.
Wilde, but
No. I'm like probably more interested in it now than I was before. Even, and I would say that like I was pretty interested in it before. So, I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to turn out well at all, but it's just a more of a curious story, I guess, than I would have expected.
yeah, sure.
So yeah, I mean, anything else that we sort of failed to cover there?
No, I think like I think that's most of it. I think like John Bernthal, the actor who's going to be having his own show, American Gigolo, on Showtime. If you don't know him from his many other roles,
He was the tennis coach in King Richard.
okay. He like basically he has like a podcast or something, and like he had Shia LaBeouf on there to like,
Yes.
and Shia was like telling his side of the story and like trying to make him look good, and apparently like Shia's like says he is in the Francis Ford Coppola movie that's coming out next year, and it's like kind of he's using this as a springboard for a redemption tour. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
you don't get to look good because
he says he's found like Jesus basically. He's like a Catholic now.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I know, obviously like bad dude, but I will say that like everything I was reading and like I don't know, take all this like nobody knows really what's going on with any of this stuff associated with this movie, but all the sort of anonymous things I was reading like were like totally backing him up and like really kind of trying to put down Olivia Wilde, and I don't really know what to make of all that, but I think it was pretty consistent. So, well, yeah, we'll never know the truth of any of that, but it is really interesting and very sort of salacious. And I think, sort of paints this hot, potentially hot fall movie in a unique light. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
yeah. Very
Everybody loves a
soon.
good little, soap opera. So we'll see if they enjoy the one that is Don't Worry, Darling. Moving on to TIFF. Let's go north of the border. Got
Yeah.
your passport?
Yeah, I hope you do. So yeah, Toronto International Film Festival is returning again.
And of course, let's not like bury the lead. TIFF is how this podcast was born.
Yeah, I
Not
think
because
like
I was there, but because I asked you to talk about your experience.
I don't even know why. Are you just were you interested in the festival at that point, or
I was
like
interested in getting into podcasting at the time,
yeah,
and that it seemed like a kind of a natural thing to like talk to somebody about being at
you made
TIFF.
it.
And I saw you talking about it a lot on Twitter at the time, and I thought I'd reach out.
Yeah,
That was really it.
it worked out.
Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, so TIFF 2022.
Yeah, yeah. It's running from September 8th to the 18th. There's going to be a lot more in-person screenings. From my understanding, there is still some movies that are running at home, which would be like in Canada, because that's what they did last year. They like geo-locked films that were playing online. So if you're in Canada and you're listening to this, maybe you'll be able to find a few films via TIFF at home. Otherwise, yeah, they're going to do the whole thing. They're going to close down King Street, which is the street where most of the big events take place during the festival for festival weekend, and have big splashy world premieres and all during that first weekend. And then as the week goes on, bringing in other films like some of the big names that are premiering at Venice are going to come over to Toronto for, I guess, what you would imagine is like second run.
Right.
Some of the stuff even from Telluride, which we don't know all of Telluride. No one does until Labor Day weekend. and they drop their full slate. All you can have is like the breadcrumbs from what Venice and Toronto have announced.
I remember they like it would always be sort of the world premiere, the North American premiere, and then like sort of like whatever kind of like try to spice it up language they would use for the Telluride stuff coming over because I couldn't say either of those things.
Right.
And that was kind of made me laugh. It's like, yeah, well, it's here, you know. What else do you want? But yeah, I mean, I think you know, Con kind of in its own category. I think partially because it's in May and not like packed in with all these other festivals, but also because like it's a little bit loftier. But I feel like after that, TIFF is the biggest festival in the world, and it definitely is the most of all the like major film festivals, probably the most like approachable for like just a person going to it.
Yeah, they call it the People's Festival, and
Yeah, I mean that's a little like self-satisfied in my opinion,
yeah,
but I think like there's something to that, if that makes sense.
yeah, no, and certainly they have the most movies, and I won't begin
Yeah.
to tell you that like every one of these movies has is untouchable, right? And that they are all utterly worthwhile. I mean, that's not the case with film festivals.
No, I mean Green Book won an award at the festivals.
Right. So it's not indicative of like quality of movies, more just like showy star power and exclusive premieres.
But a lot of, I mean, that there are also are going to be a lot of good movies that show there and good movies that premiere there, and a lot of movies that we'll probably be talking about over the next 4 or 5 months.
Yes, I agree with that. And it's funny, sometimes you get a movie that like will show at TIFF and then like it won't even like make a big statement to a year later.
Yeah,
Sound of Metal was a big one like that, where it had its premiere at TIFF, and then like I don't know if it was like it might have been just wholly because of the pandemic happened, but
mm.
it ended up reappearing almost like more than a year later, and really took people.
That happened at with the Hurt Locker also back in it premiered I think in 2008 at TIFF and then wasn't released until June the next year, of course, and obviously won an Oscar in the calendar year 2010. So it was a pretty long journey
Right.
for that movie. So yeah, definitely not uncommon for something to kind of show there, get pushed, and if it's good enough, you still kind of talk about it for a while. And some of the movies that I know you're most excited about are movies that are going to have premieres, but also some movies that have premiere already, including at Cannes. So, should we start getting into the titles that sort of you're most excited for?
Sure.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, why don't we start with like the big get, the how TIFF started their announcement was with the Knives Out sequel.
Glass
And
Onion.
yes, and I guess since announcing that, they Netflix, the new distributor of the Knives Out franchise, after
Yeah,
making that
for like $1 zillion.
after making that historic purchase of two Knives Out sequels, they have announced that the streaming premiere of Glass Onion is going to be on December 23rd, right around Christmas time, which leads me to believe that even though I haven't announced anything yet, I imagine some kind of theatrical release will be around Thanksgiving, similar to how the first
Oh,
Knives Out kind of touched down. That would be my guess.
what makes you say that? Is that because of the like phrasing?
I know, like, yeah, they said like that is the streaming date, December 23rd, and like I think they were like a theatrical dates are to follow, or like
Huh.
I think like they have done theatrical dates for some of their bigger movies, right? Like if you remember, Roma and The Irishman both had like at least 2-3 weeks exclusive theaters before they came out. Even Power of the Dog.
Did they? I don't remember that at all. And if they did, they were, I think, pretty limited releases in theaters, right? Like, I don't think those movies played
They didn't play
near
wide,
me.
wide. I mean, like what was funny, like one of the bigger ones more recently was Don't Look Up. That was playing down the street from me,
Huh.
and none of those Netflix movies ever really did that. But like 3 weeks before it was on the service, it was definitely playing in the theaters.
That's really interesting. I don't remember that, but I believe you because you are usually better informed than I am. Uh, but but yeah, okay, that would be interesting, and that would I sort of feel like Netflix has been kind of cautiously moving in that direction without explicitly saying so. And I don't know if that's like a reaction to like always losing at the Oscars and feeling like maybe people are being mean to them because they are bypassing theaters, or if there's something something else to it, and it like releasing in theaters is going to be a good way to like bring in some cash for a really really cash poor company. But I think that'd be interesting. I'm not going to go see this movie in the theater, but I think I will watch it the day it comes out. I'm very excited. I liked Knives Out. I like Ryan Johnson, and I don't see any reason why he can't sort of recapture the magic.
Yeah, it's funny too because I wrote on the newsletter that it seems like he was inspired by those Agatha Christie mysteries, and
Yeah, 100.
it,
percent
it seems like this has now become more, I don't know, where in the populist canon than like the most recent Agatha Christie adaptation. I mean, it certainly hurt that that
Oh
movie
God,
had a
yeah,
lot of baggage with it, but
yeah, right.
I think that this new Knives Out is easily more anticipated.
Oh, it just seems there's like a lot of big names who are like wanting to you know pop up in these movies. And obviously the first one had a great cast. What's his name? Daniel Craig, I think, is the only one returning.
Yeah, he's playing like that the detective character that translated like from the Agatha Christie novels, right?
Yeah, yeah. Poirot. It's like
Yeah,
a. I think I don't remember what his name is in the movies, but he's basically just riffing on that. But then this movie also stars Ethan Hawke, Edward Norton, Dave Bautista, Janelle Monáe, Leslie Odom Jr.,
like
Catherine
what? Yeah,
Hahn.
Catherine Hahn.
So pretty strong cast, among others, of course.
Yeah,
And
I wonder if there's going to be a big standout, John. Though, like Ana de Armas is like the first one was like her big coming out film, right? Like people might have known who she was or like had an idea,
yeah,
but
I
like
think that's probably fair.
that movie, like really, like oh, who is this girl? And
The obvious standout, though, in Knives Out was Chris Evans' sweater.
like, yeah,
So they're gonna need to go, some
find
lengths
some nicer knitwear.
yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be knit, but it just needs to be like a real like, standout garment. I think.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the only real press images that they've shared thus far is like the cast sitting at a dinner table, and I think like the short like 1 second teaser that was in the teaser reel was like them getting on a boat. So maybe the action of this movie takes place on a boat.
I'm on a boat.
But mostly, I'm sure the the hype engine is gonna start up soon. I wouldn't imagine that like Netflix wants people all to see this at TIFF without like anybody having seen any trailers.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, so that one will be pretty big, pretty exciting. What about what's another like sort of bigger movie that I think people are excited about, including you?
So one that just had its official teaser trailer the other day was this new movie Empire of Light,
Okay,
which is directed by Sam Mendes. Of
right.
course, his last movie was the Oscar-nominated 1917, and he's done some other acclaimed movies.
Yeah,
and
Oscar winner,
yeah,
American Beauty. It
yeah,
doesn't hold up.
right. And he's working with Roger Deakins, cinematographer Roger Deakins again for Empire
The
of Light.
Great.
So yeah, so from that teaser trailer, at least it looks beautiful. It has one of my favorite actresses going right now, Olivia Colman, as one of the leads in the movie. I think uh, that was pretty much enough to sell me on Empire of Light, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it's going to get a big push. It's going to be in theaters for everybody to see in December, um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. I liked 1917. I know, I mean, obviously it was nominated for a ton of Oscars. I felt like there was a lot of pushback on that movie
Yeah,
at the
I mean, but
time.
it was the villain, right? It's easy to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
push it.
yeah. I was good, just getting to that. It was like it had to be the enemy because everybody wanted Parasite, and ultimately that was probably the right choice. But at the time, I felt like I viewed those two movies on fairly equal footing, and I haven't really watched 1917 since that Oscar season. I think I watched it more than once at the time, though.
I think I'd like to see it again. I was thinking about it pretty fondly the other day. So
Yeah, I'd watch that again. I mean, I thought it was a really good movie. I know people were down on it from, like you said, for narrative reasons, but also I think, feeling like it was a little video gamey, like defeating levels. But I thought it was pretty cool. And I'm not like the biggest Sam Mendes fan. Like, obviously Skyfall I thought was tremendous, but besides that, like, I don't know that I'd name any. Oh, Road to Perdition is good too. I forgot he made that, but anyway, I'm definitely interested to see what he's going to do next. It seems like he's sort of free. He probably can, kind of tackle any subject he wants. And I don't really, obviously, we don't really know a ton about this one, but Olivia Colman is obviously a uh, a talent to watch for sure. It seems like everything she does is pretty golden. So that'll be cool.
all right. The other big one that I was anticipating was Darren Aronofsky's new movie, The Whale.
Yes.
And this one is premiering at Venice before coming to Toronto, and should be considered the big comeback film for Brendan Fraser. I mean, like I said in the newsletter, he has appeared in some movies and television shows over the past like 2 or 3 years, but people who have missed him or don't see him his face as well in the show Doom Patrol will finally get to see him on this big screen again in a movie that should certainly garner a lot of attention for its subject matter and for its stars.
Yeah, for sure. It was it's definitely, like for me up there as my maybe arguably most anticipated movie of all of these that we'll talk about. I'm just really interested in sort of what this is going to be. I guess the thing that I saw him in that sort of surprised me was No Sudden Move, the Soderbergh movie that came out I think last summer,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, which I loved, and I loved him in it, and I was just like, that is so cool. Like, what's he been up to? And sort of then you read the Brendan Fraser story over the last, decade and a half or so,
right.
and it's kind of sad, but he's kind of having a comeback, and to get a starring role in Aronofsky movie like this is a pretty big deal. Last time we saw an Aronofsky movie was Mother, which was one of my favorite movies of 2017, 18. I don't remember
It was
exactly when it came.
definitely a polarizing movie.
Oh, it was. It
I'm on the
was.
plus side as well, but it's definitely
I loved how polarizing it was. And I remember being in the theater and just watching people leave and laughing. And it was nuts. It was just a nuts, nuts, nuts movie. And obviously he's done other things that are I found really good as well. Black Swan, probably his most beloved movie and commercial movie for sure.
yeah. I just think he's really good with actors, John.
He is. I agree. Yeah.
Not only that performance from Natalie Portman in Black Swan, but then even Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, and like Mickey Rourke has done like pretty much nothing since
Yeah.
then.
Then he did Iron Man 2 and
Yeah,
disappeared again.
right. But like he was terrific in The Wrestler. So,
Outstanding. Yeah.
so
Yeah, he has a knack for putting people in sort of the right roles. And it's, yeah, not that hard to see why, with all due respect to Mickey Rourke, why, like, you might not appear in anything else. It's because it's like, well, this person got the very, very best out of you.
yeah,
But yeah, A24 is going to release The Whale. We don't know exactly when, but it will be premiering at these fall fests, and I guess maybe they'll use the reception of the movie as a jumping off point for what they want to do with it.
yeah. I can't imagine it would not be a 2022 release,
I would be
right?
shocked. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it would have to totally bomb, and then they kind of bury it in the spring or something like that for that not to happen. And it's hard. They kind of probably know what they have on their hands.
right. And I also wrote that Stranger Things star Sadie Sink co-stars in that one, and
Who's Sadie Sink in
she
Stranger Things?
she plays Max.
Okay, yes. Yeah, yeah. I haven't
And
watched the most recent season, so I forget some of the characters, but yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, she has a big role in the new season,
Okay.
and she was the one listening to the song "Running Up That Hill" that has come back, the Kate Bush song.
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh, really?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, it took the world by storm again this summer.
All right, very good.
Yeah, so The Whale. John, you might have the list in front of you. Can
I
you would
do.
you like to pick one to talk about?
Well, I think in terms of like big movies, you have to put The Fablemans pretty high up there, which is the latest from director Steven Spielberg. Last time we saw a Spielberg movie was, I think, just last year with West Side Story, right?
Yes.
So it's not a too long of a wait, although it's not as short as a gap as it was between War Horse and The Adventures of Tintin, which in real life was, I think, a 5-day wait. They were both released in December of 2011, but still, this is a movie that he, I guess, is going to be kind of telling his own sort of autobiography, I guess, and it's going to be in the tradition of a lot of fairly recent movies, from Roma to Belfast. Are there any others? Those are like the two big ones.
Hand of God.
Oh, is that like a Paolo Sorrentino movie?
Yes,
He like,
it was his. He is that boy.
oh, I guess I didn't know
Yeah.
that. And yeah, so that's like everybody's like wants to like just tell their own story now on a movie, and I think my position on this matter.
Yeah, I mean, even James Gray Armageddon's Time, which isn't playing at.
All James Gray movies are like about how like his dad didn't love him though, just in different like capacities.
Yeah.
This one's like, but like, no, my actual dad didn't love me.
Yeah, but the Fablemans, we'll see what it's like. I guess like who's casting this one? It was like Seth Rogen,
Seth Rogen, yeah, and I don't
Michelle
know.
Williams.
Oh, well, I love Michelle Williams.
Yeah, there was it was a image going around the other day where like I guess the TIFF physical program was released,
Oh, okay.
and there was a picture of the Fablemans, the first released press image in the physical TIFF catalog. There's been nothing else released, and people
So,
took a picture.
sorry, a few other names. Paul Dano, big name. Some other character actors, Jeannie Berlin, who is wonderful. Judd Hirsch, some child actors. David Lynch is in the
Hmm.
movie. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, I would say it's a Williams, Dano, Rogan triple header there at the top. But yeah, I don't know. Oh God, ew, really? Greg Grunberg is in the movie. Is that? Oh no, that's somebody else. I'm thinking of somebody else. Sorry. I'm sure he's a nice man. My bad. I was thinking of that guy who's like a host on Fox News. Can't remember his name now. No, his name's Greg. His name's like Greg, and his last name starts with a G. I can't remember. He's irrelevant.
Good.
uh, the this one, John Williams score, Janusz Kaminski cinematography, Michael Kahn editing, Ricardo production design, like all the classic
I think it's
names.
supposed to be like one of John Williams' like last scores too. I think like it's either this or like Indiana Jones 5. I think he
Oh,
said was
okay.
going to
I've
be
been on
his.
a John Williams kick lately on my music. But Tony Kushner also is co-writing it with Spielberg, so he's done a lot of. I think he did West Side Story with Spielberg, and I
Yes.
know he did Lincoln, of course. He co-wrote Munich, so like they, I think, are pretty comfortable with one another. Hopefully, can ring something. I think a little bit more interesting than we might otherwise expect from a hey, like my childhood was interesting. Let's make a movie about that.
Yeah. You'd hope,
Because
right?
you would hope that's my hope. I mean, I'm optimistic. Like you said in the newsletter, it's Steven Spielberg. Like he gets a pass on a premise that otherwise doesn't excite me.
Yeah, and it's I think it's funny because like as you said with James Gray, I think like Spielberg is very much the same. Like he definitely explored the relationship with his family in many of his films, and
Oh, big time! Close Encounters.
right. So
So
we'll see
yeah,
it
so
actually on page.
there's probably some themes that will be familiar to anyone who's partaken in his catalog of films to date. Two movies that I think we're both excited about that have already premiered that we can maybe talk about in tandem is Broker, the Koreeda movie that premiered at Cannes, and then Decision to Leave, which is the Park Chan Wook movie that premiered at Cannes. Which one of these, if you could only see one, which one would you say?
Well, I've decided because
Oh,
funny enough, John, the press and industry screening of Broker, Decision to Leave, and another movie, After Sun, that I wanted to see is all during the same time slot.
ooh, that sucks.
So I had to pick one to see, and yes, I'm seeing Broker
I knew
as
you
of
were going
right
to say
now. Yes,
Broker.
it doesn't. So Broker doesn't have a date yet.
Yeah, right. I get that. And Decision to Leave is coming out probably like a month after its
Yeah,
TIFF premiere date.
right. Mubi has the North American
Wow.
distribution for that. Yeah, it's a big deal for them.
That's a huge deal. That's cool.
But yeah, Broker is the latest Koreeda film. It's very much in the ilk of all his other films as like it's about an unconventional family formed under strange circumstances. If you've seen like any of his movies,
Yeah, that
that
sounds
that
familiar.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Even I guess Shoplifters is the pinnacle example of that because that's the one he won the Palme d'Or for.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for this one because he's making a Korean language film, and he's working with Song Kang Ho, who you might be familiar with from the Bong Joon Ho movies like
I,
Parasite and Memories of Murder and what have you. Also making an appearance is the K-pop icon IU, and this is a big acting role for her, even though she's all over the pop idol scene in South Korea.
yeah, I probably, I mean, I'm excited to see both of these movies. They're both well received. I think Decision to Leave was probably slightly better received, and I think
Yes.
I'm slightly more interested in Park Chan Wook movies than I am Korean movies, although I think they're both very good. I think that there's just kind of like a visceralness in Park Chan Wook's, I would say the handful of movies of his that I've seen
Yeah.
that kind of speaks to me a little bit more. But I would also say that my other podcast co host, Sammy, on There Will Be Pod, saw Decision to Leave at the Jerusalem Film Festival probably a month or so ago, and he was just like over the moon for it. He thought it was fantastic. And so it's kind of gotten my, I think, excitement level up a little bit more for that one because I had a somewhat personalized recommendation that I haven't had yet for Broker, but maybe you'll be able to provide that soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much about Decisional Leave other than like I guess it's been described as like a noir, a little bit different than Park Chan Wook's traditional work. Like certainly, if you've seen movies like Handmaiden or
Hmm.
Old Boy, uh, he can be very violent in his movies. I don't know necessarily what this is going to entail, and maybe that has me more intrigued too.
Yeah, understandable. So those two will be showing up, not world premieres, but TIFF premieres for sure. I guess we can kind of maybe rattle off a couple more. The Banshees at Inisherin.
Yes, it's a very Irish title.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure that there's lots of people who can kind of say that better than either of us. This is the latest from Martin McDonagh, who it was his last movie, the Three Billboards.
yes,
He hasn't done anything since then.
no,
Kind of surprising.
yeah, it's been a while.
I think one of our probably great disagreements in podcast history.
What was I don't remember what was this
Oh, that I
agreement.
loathed that movie and you kind of
Oh,
loved it.
oh yes, I do. I still stand by that. I enjoy the movie, although the Sam Rockwell character is a problem.
Yes, I thought it was just flaming hot garbage, but I do love me some In Bruges, and I know you watched that recently, right?
Yeah, I rewatched it for my parents on the Film Trace podcast.
And I really love In Bruges, and I the first time I saw it, I was kind of I think just confused, but I remember it kind of lingering with me and watching it again like a year or two later, and just be like, oh, like I get it now, like that movie is freaking awesome, and I really like Seven Psychopaths also, which was his follow up, and I always get him and his brother confused. His brother did Cavalry or Calvary rather. I was screw those two words up. And what was the other movie? Oh, The Guard, which was a pretty fun movie with I think also Brendan Gleeson and Don Cheadle, if I remember correctly. But nevertheless, this one is Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, great actors. I love them both very much. I will be excited about
Yeah,
this even.
it's funny that the trailer. It's like how the movie describes it is like both actors had this great chemistry together in Bruges, and now they're putting them in a movie where like they kind of hate each other,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you don't understand why right off the bat. Like that's part of like watching the movie, and I just think that's such an interesting twist because yeah, the thing that might have been the biggest selling point of In Bruges was the chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah, I think
So
that's fair.
we can hopefully see that carried on to this one.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be swell. So that'll be a good one, I think. Besides that, we've got the Women Talking, which is the new Sarah Polley movie. I guess you mentioned Stories We Tell here as sort of a big, I guess, film in her directorial career. I think that's definitely accurate. It was a documentary she made about her own personal life.
Yeah,
It's a good movie. I really loved Take This Waltz, which I think she released a year before
yeah,
Stories
you've
We Tell.
talked about that on the
Yeah, I
show.
love that movie very, very much. So definitely very curious about this one. It's going to be it's sort of like set I think in like an Argentinian like monastery or something like that. But it's got a really good cast with Frances McDormand and Rooney Mara and Jesse Buckley and Claire Foy among others. So I'm excited about that one for sure. And do you know what studio is releasing that?
I think it was like United Artists.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Nevertheless. Oh yeah, I see United Artists here. That'll be, I think, a good one. And The Son,
Yeah,
this
that's
is follow up to The Father.
Yeah, we're waiting for Holy Ghost next year.
Good one.
I'm not the first one to make that joke, but yes.
Yeah, but it's good. Okay, I liked it. You can like reuse other people's material on me because I probably didn't see it. But you need to credit them where appropriate if you're doing it on a recorded podcast. I would say people like The Father will forever be remembered as like the Oscar winning movie that like it sort of spoiled the Oscar big moment that year. It's just kind of unforgettable. I mean, it's not the most unforgettable Oscar moment
Right.
for a couple reasons, but it was still pretty wild. And it's also like a really freaking good movie, though.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought, like I say in the synopsis that I wrote, like Anthony Hopkins has had a career full of wonderful performances, and I think that The Father might be his very best.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're even talking about it in the same like breath as Silence of the Lambs, like that's pretty special, and I think it's worthy.
Yeah.
So the Son is from the director Florian Zeller, and I don't know a ton about it, but I'm definitely interested.
No, I think like Hugh Jackman is in the lead for this one. He's the pivotal son.
I'm sure it will be very muted then. Uh, Weird Al Yankovic story with Daniel Radcliffe. I'm also very curious about this movie.
Yeah, I'm curious too. It's like, and it's such a weird thing, right? Because it's like going to be released for free on the Roku channel, like when it's
I know.
releases
I
on
saw.
like,
I thought that was a misprint. I was like, no, you spelled Hulu wrong.
right.
But yeah, it's on Roku, which is really strange. One of my very good friends always tells the story of the first concert he went to when he was a kid was to see Weird Al, and that when Weird Al came out and started singing, he just couldn't stop crying because he was so excited. And yeah, that's shout out to you, Andrew. You mentioned After Sun as something you would have liked to see, but are not going to have an opportunity to at the festival. Anything you want to sort of speak to about that? Because I'm not familiar with that movie at all.
Yeah, it was like, even though it wasn't playing in competition at the Cannes Film Festival, it was easily the one of the most talked about movies
Okay.
from the festival, at least from what I saw on Twitter. And it stars Paul Mescal, who was in 2020's Normal People series.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess people liked him in that, and they think he's wonderful in this, from what I understand. And I'm really looking forward to it. This, I don't think it has a date yet either for May 24. I wonder what's going to be going on with them. I know, like, not only do they have The Whale and this and After Sun on their upcoming slate, but there was a trailer released over the weekend for a movie called The Inspection, and that is also world premiering at TIFF, and I think it's the closing night film for New York Film Festival. So that is also going to be a high profile film for them.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. And then Chevalier.
Yeah,
I
this one
may
just
not be
looks.
pronouncing that right.
Yeah, this one looked kind of interesting to me. I guess it's directed by Stephen Williams, who was a part of the award-winning Watchmen miniseries that aired on HBO a few years back, and Kelvin Harrison Jr. is the lead for this one. He was in, I think he was in the movie Waves, and more recently I saw him as a co-lead in the musical Cyrano. So
Okay.
I've enjoyed his performances. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think he's playing a composer, um, Joseph Ballone. So yeah, it could be cool. I don't know if I'll get a chance to see it at TIFF myself, but I am looking forward to checking it out.
I had no love for my other favorite composer movie, Tar,
Oh,
or is that
John,
not showing at Toronto?
it's not showing at Toronto.
Oh, okay.
I would see the hell out of that movie. They released a new trailer for it the other day, and I've
Yeah.
watched it like 5 times.
Oh, nice.
It
You know
is,
my thoughts on that.
yeah, it's just fantastic looking.
Good. I'm very, 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 very excited. Anything else you wanted to mention real quick before? I should say that, you can read more about, these movies and maybe some others, and ongoing coverage of the festival, if you subscribe to the newsletter, which you can do at itsthepictures.substack.com. But anything else you want to give a quick shout to before we do some what we've been watching?
Yeah, John, like I said in the newsletter, we're only talking about 12. We've barely talked about like 5% of the films that are going to
Yeah,
be played at the Toronto International Film Festival because they've announced over 200 movies. Some of the stuff that I definitely would like to see or am going to see around or near the festival, Moon Age Daydream, which is the new documentary from Brett Morgan, who directed the Jane documentary about the life of David Bowie. I'm not quite sure like what eras it takes place during or how he really formatted the documentary, but I'm really looking forward to it. It comes out very quickly, maybe the week after TIFF. So I'm probably just going to wait and catch that at my local IMAX theater. But still, big fan of David Bowie. Looking forward to that. Triangle of Sadness. There was a trailer for that, and that was the Cannes Palme d'Or winner this year, by Ruben Östlund, and I think I have it penciled in as the first movie that I see at TIFF this year, and really looking forward to checking out another Östlund picture.
yeah,
There was a new trailer for the movie The Menu, which kind of looks like they're going to like this place to have a special meal made, like a 5-star meal, like all these rich people.
yeah.
And turns out that it's like almost like a Hunger Games type thing where they're gonna like have to run out and be hunted or something.
Okay,
And Anya Taylor Joy,
okay.
so she's one of the big stars in that movie. And then I guess the last one I wanted to mention was The Wonder, which is I think it's another. Let's get it right here. Yeah, it's another Florence Pugh starring movie coming out possibly this year, but it's directed by Sebastian Lilio, and I really liked his movies Disobedience and A Fantastic Woman. Even Gloria Bell I really liked, so I'm looking forward to seeing what else he does. So that one has my curiosity.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Sounds, I mean, and again, like you said, that's going to be like 5% of the festival. So, lots more coming that hopefully stuff we're not like super jazzed about that's going to like bubble up and become movies that we can't wait to see. So overall, I think, it's a very promising lineup. Probably more, more movies coming out of this festival than the last two combined that we're going to be really excited about and talking about for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. So before we do our what we've been watching, we'll mention how you can follow us. I already mentioned the newsletter, of course, which you can subscribe to at itspictures.substack.com. And besides TIFF, is there anything that you've been kind of writing about you want to give a call out to?
Yeah, sure. On the Substack, I did a review of the latest Jurassic World movie after
Oh,
receiving a review copy from Universal, and yeah, it might not be. It's not as bad as Fallen Kingdom, but that
okay.
doesn't. That's not really a high compliment, I
Yeah.
guess, because I thought Fallen Kingdom was just atrocious.
I did too. I like literally don't remember anything about it, but I hated it.
So this is like slightly better than that, but
Okay.
it's still not all that great.
Yeah.
I don't. I like it's funny, John, because I don't regret the time that I spent watching it, which is
Sure.
probably a net gain positive. But I'm not gonna remember that movie like a few weeks from now.
Yeah, I get you.
And then I don't know if I talked about. I did a review of the latest Masaki Yuasa movie, Inuo, which is might still be playing in theaters. It's an anime movie that I did that review for Paste Magazine. I really enjoyed that movie, and I did a review of the new series Welcome to Wrexham, which is Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds by a football team in Wales, and it's airing on FX. And I did that review for Roger Ebert, and
Oh, okay, cool.
I was very excited to do that.
Very good. Very good. Cool. Okay, so besides that, you can follow our podcast on Twitter at It's the Pick Pod, and Max, you're at,
MH Colville.
and you can like us on Facebook at It's the Pictures, and you can send us an email at itspictures@gmail.com with, I don't know, let us know if you're going to be at TIFF, and I don't want to volunteer Max's time, but maybe you can say hi, or at least let us know what movies you're going to see, or what movies you're excited to see. You can also subscribe to our podcast on any podcatching app. And while you're there, please leave us a review. 5 stars will help other people discover and enjoy the show. And finally, Letterboxd. You can subscribe to or follow us there, rather. Just search for It's the Pictures, and you can see, I guess, what we've been watching lately.
Yeah,
So, Max, what
John,
have
I,
we been watching lately? Oh,
John,
yeah.
I even posted our top 10 list
Oh,
from.
beautiful. Yeah, our most recent episode where we did
Yeah,
our top 10 sound on sight lists
right. So you can
slash
check
favorite
those out.
movies. Yeah, that was very fun. So very cool. But what's at hand? What have you been watching lately?
Yeah, I've been watching a few things, and one of the ones that I wanted to talk about more, which we ran out of time last time, was the new
Right.
Jordan Peele. Nope. We tried to plan some podcasting around it, but it just didn't work out in the end. And yeah, now that it's available to, I believe, purchase digitally, and I'm seeing scenes of the movie all over Twitter. So if you haven't seen Nope yet, either get on that or stay away from social media if that's an interest you have. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting movie. It stars like Daniel Kaluuya once again, working with Peele after working together on Get Out. Kiki Palmer's in it, and Stephen Ewan are the big three names attached, and it explores a lot about not only the history of cinema and where it came from, but also this idea of celebrity and what lengths some people will go to for celebrity. I don't know if I necessarily loved it. Maybe I wasn't in the right mindset for it at the time. I'd like to rewatch it because it's definitely like a science fiction movie, like what we imagined it being about aliens. Like I guess that's a pretty good call.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think on the whole, like I'd like to watch it again, but it it probably my third favorite Jordan Peele movie for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's sort of the general consensus for the most part. Maybe some people liked it slightly more than us, but I really liked Us.
Do you have plans to see Nope anytime soon,
I
or?
saw it.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
What? How do you feel about it?
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, liked it. Interesting. Didn't love it. Would watch it again. Probably would like it more.
Yeah. How about the monkey side thing going on there? The chimp.
Just delightful.
It almost felt like he wanted to make like that into like another movie, or like if I know like how it connects, but it did feel kind of disjointed, anyways.
Yeah, I think so too. But, sometimes you just sort of swing and it doesn't all come together.
Right.
But, it's certainly more interesting than a lot of anything else that came out in August.
Yeah. Well, for sure.
Low ass bar, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think people should check it out. He makes interesting movies. I have been, speaking of interesting movies, I have been following along with the Blank Check podcast series that has started over the past month. The films of Stanley Kubrick. Probably about 10 years ago. I remember it was 2012. I don't remember exactly when, but I did like my own Stanley Kubrick marathon. I had seen maybe half of his movies up to that point in my life, most of the big ones, but I hadn't seen a lot of the others. And so I went through and watched everything. I don't remember if I watched them in order or not, but nevertheless, I hadn't seen a lot of them since then, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of keep up. So I've watched in the past like 2 weeks since we talked, I guess, The Killing and Paths of Glory and Spartacus. I decided I was going to just sort of sit Fear, what's it called? Fear and Desire and Killer's Kiss out because they are not that good.
Those are the only two that I've never seen too.
So
Like
I've seen them both.
yeah,
Like Fear and Desire, really wouldn't recommend to anybody. Killer's Kiss is okay, but like there's a dozen other movies that are kind of similar enough and better.
yeah.
But The Killing, I think, is super fun. Really love it. Loved it. It's a rewatch. I hadn't. It's one of those I hadn't seen since I think probably 2012. And it's a noir with Sterling Hayden and just all these great character actors, and completing a robbery at a horse track and kind of all the machinations that go into setting it up and trying to execute it right. And it is a really, I think, special noir film.
I mean, maybe it'd make a good double feature of Logan Lucky, like that steal
Yeah,
from
I guess I
the
could see that. Yeah,
racetrack and
yeah, I could see that. Paths of Glory then was next, and this was sort of more of a quote unquote, respectable movie about things. And it's a World War I movie with Kirk Douglas and telling the story of like a French battalion that is forced into an unwinnable mission by very ambitious superiors, officers, and a lot of them die, and then others are forced to face execution to atone for their failure in battle. And it is a very dark movie and a very good movie. It's sort of a perversely like, I don't know. There's something I think that's kind of like, I think he's really sort of poking fun at a lot of things in a amusing way, even though the movie is far from funny on the surface. But I think it's the best of the three that I'm going to talk about. And then Spartacus is last. And I actually liked Spartacus a lot more. That I actually just watched it today, but I liked it a lot more this time than the previous time I saw it, where I thought it was kind of like pedestrian by his standards. But it's actually, I think, a really well made movie, and it has a lot going for it. And
doesn't that have? But it's famous for having like him like not really loving how
he
it
did
went
not
down.
like the movie. Yeah, no,
Yes,
he didn't really. I mean, I think he like thought he made it well, but thought it was dumb and stupid, and that like Spartacus, the character, is like really dull because he's just so like perfectly heroic. But I think that that's probably a fair criticism, even though I just love. I don't want to say I love Kirk Douglas because I think that that's a bit of a controversial statement. But I think that like his screen presence is so interesting and unusual, even for that time period. Like he just has like such a unique look and unique kind of way of carrying himself. And I think kind of putting him out front and center the way that this movie does is is just interesting. And it has obviously so many other like phenomenal actors like Laurence Olivier and Charles Lawton, and they're all playing like these Roman kind of figures of renown. And it's Peter Ustinov is really good in the movie. I think he won an Oscar actually for this movie. But I'd like Spartacus more than I thought I did, I guess, in my head before watching it. So
doesn't this have the famous Dalton Trumbo script as well?
yeah, well, yeah, he wrote it. This was like the first time that he was allowed. They like he actually used his name after he was blacklisted, and I think, and it ended up, it was like a humongous hit. And I don't think it was nominated like won Best Supporting Actor. I don't think it was a Best Picture nominee, but it was still like a big financial success, and I think that helped kind of bring some of those blacklisted performers and uh, writers and such back into like the fold. They were allowed to stop pretending that they were other people.
Right.
So yeah, so that was definitely an element that was interesting about this movie. So all good stuff. Really, really enjoyed it. I'm not super looking forward to rewatching Lolita, which is next in the Kubrick canon, but after that, you're into the Strange Love 2001. run of things, which I'm very much looking forward to. So
Yeah, I mean, some people would tell you they don't look forward to rewatching Clockwork Orange. So
yeah, I'm not looking forward to that too much either. That will be after. I think that's after 2001, and then you got Barry Lyndon, which I love, and we'll look forward to that. So, and it's all from there. It's all gold.
so John, before we close, we have one a bit of TIFF gossip that I think is willing for me and you to bring up, and that's
Okay.
where is Damien Chazelle's Babylon?
Oh, it's a good question.
And he has premiered all his other films at TIFF. I actually think Whiplash was a Sundance, but maybe it played at TIFF later. Certainly, La La Land and First Man did big splashy premieres at TIFF.
Yeah.
It's one of the films that is still absent from the festival list. Maybe it's gonna world premiere only at Telluride. That's pretty much the spot for it now, or less splashy AFI Fest or something. It's
It's
just
kind
it's
of
just
yeah, kind of
weird.
weird. A little bit of a weird choice, right? If that's going to be the case.
Yeah, unless it's not ready. I
I was
mean,
gonna say, well, is it possible they're just gonna push it to next year?
yeah, I don't know about that one. I just that was a weird one for me. Like I thought for sure. I know like since we last talked or more recently, we would found out that Scorsese's movie was is probably pushed to next year, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, because it's not like, oh, we'll see it in February. It's like, you have to wait a full year.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna push it to like the next award season or something.
Yeah, 100%, which is definitely, like you said, a bummer. But we'll see. There's hopefully going to be enough stuff to keep us entertained through the next few months and into 2023 that comes out of TIFF, and you'll be there to catch some of it before most other people can.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that, and we're planning to hopefully do a TIFF post show. I'm planning to do more recordings from TIFF, including that will come out on the podcast list. So if you are subscribed to the podcast, you'll get those in audio and also on the newsletter. So subscribe and get information and news from TIFF.
Sounds good, Max. I hope you have a good time at the festival. I'm sure I'll talk to you before then, but for the official listeners, let's all wish Max well in his adventures trying to get there, and while you're there, and looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Alrighty.
Talk soon.
Yeah, bye.